Hello everyone, my name is Silvio Perez and I'm an application engineer here at Hawker Systems. In today's video I'd like to discuss some of the enhancements for the costing tool specifically for machine parts. So in this case we have a support frame and I want to run a cost analysis on this component here. So when I do that, prior to 2016 running a cost analysis, there was a lot of manual operations that we needed to define that we couldn't really define in the traditional costing template. And as we know, the costing template is where we define specific machining operations, specific hole size operations, and things like that. So what we have here, what we needed to do is I drilled out some holes within this part, and when we go to the hole operations, it told us that with the warning symbol that we don't have an actual hole size to accommodate that drilled hole. So what we needed to do is we needed to manually convert these hole operations to potentially a mill operation. So again, we had to do this manually for each hole here where, it would create an issue potentially if we would miss an actual hole operation. So the other thing that we would need to do manually is if we wanted to do some custom operation like adding some paint to it or anodizing the actual component. These are operations that we needed to do manually. And lastly, the other operation the thing that we needed to define on a manual approach is any additional material offset. So you see that I had to physically create these offsets to give it a little bit of extra material to accommodate this machine part. A lot of problems that we found through this manual operation is, the more things we need to do manually, the more likely that we're going to run into a mistake or actually missing an actual operation. But now in 2016, they kind of lifted and removed some of those manual operations by defining it through a template. So what they actually gave us here, if I switch my actual template to one that I've already defined for you, you see that the offsets have already been controlled for us. And the way that's done, it's through these new rule operations that we can define in our actual template here. So if I actually go into one of these operations, you see this is what we get, the traditional, this is how we allocate the actual price to the actual cost. But now we have this new category here, rules. And I've already defined a few of them for us. And what we have is I made a rule to convert any hole to a mill operation if it satisfies this actual structure here. So if I click on this, what this is saying is I'm going to convert any large drill hole to a milled circular pocket if the diameter is greater than 20 millimeters. So I can define these rules where if the cost analysis sees that there's holes that are greater than that limit that I specified, it'll automatically convert it to a mill operation. Same thing as these additional rules where if a specific material has been chosen to add some kind of plating, same thing with this last rule here. All right, so we can define, depending on what we want to control, define what the actual rules are. And to do so is really easy. At this point we can specify a new rule. We can define this through an if or an if-then statement, and then we can choose whatever operation or whatever rule we actually want to output. So when we click on one of these options, we just need to select the actual criteria and input the correct data that we need to satisfy that specific rule. So again, this is a great enhancement for 2016 costing specifically for machine parts that they added, and it makes all those manual operations that we had to do prior to 2016 now automated through this new rules template editor. I hope you enjoyed the video, and thanks for watching.